Okay, I got another conversation with AI chat. It's a different one this time, but just want to go through with it. Hopefully, this is going to work. Because I'm looking at it from the controls thing here. Hopefully, I'm still broadcasting. I guess I am. So, after hours of talking, going back with AI, back and forth, evolution doesn't make sense. And then he's trying to give sense, trying to say, well, so and so said evolution has evidence, and such says evidence, you know, evolution has evidence, or there's evidence of evolution. But I keep going back. He says, I don't want to know what people think. I want to know what the mathematical possibility is for evolution to take place. Whether it's a protein or enzyme or a carbohydrate or whatever it is. I want to know what the chances are of that forming by itself. So I was going back and forth, hours and hours, like I often do. But I just wanted to read it. It's in the description. I just wanted to read the description here, if I can read it. I mean, this is so highly technical and complex. Probably, if you're a geneticist, you might be able to understand everything that's being said here. But if not, we're just like we're just trying to figure out what this all means. But basically, this is what biology is. Biology is what I'm going to read right here. And it just lists a whole bunch of conditions for the existence of living organisms, a simple living organism, any living organism. So let me go ahead and see if I can read through it here. Biopolymer space represents an enormous search landscape, vastly exceeding human capacity to computationally explore its totality, hindering straightforward application of exhaustive enumerative techniques, testing all possibility or all possible sequences, representing candidate folded proteins, fulfilling specific function subjects to selective pressures, kinetic barriers, preventing misfolding species accumulating faster or excessively faster than correctly configured forms from persisting. Of course, you might hear in this, you might hear some echoes of Dr. James Tour and Jonathan Sephardi talking about these things. You might hear a little echo of this, but this is the AI talking here. Preventing misfolded species accumulating excessively faster than correctly configured. Some of this stuff doesn't might not make a whole lot of sense, but it's going through what the barriers are, or the conditions are for a living organism to exist. But with the exception of the information and the breath of life, so to speak, the difference between life and death of a living cell. So excessively faster than correctly configured forms from persisting temporal contingencies restricting availability or efficacy of functional constituents during various environmental histories impacting chemical concentrations and solvent properties, etc. But the sheer number of potential protein topologies and diverse amino acid combination complicates attempts to enumerate every sequence accomplishing specific tasks, let alone identifying those optimal enough to dominate competition, favoring selection, unless gross oversimplifications, drastically reducing dimensionality, artificially basing or biasing results away from true likelihood distribution, skewing outcomes. In practice, researchers often adopt heuristic, leveraging structural similarities among homologous sequences or template alignments, constraining hypothetical solutions. But random searches still appear intractably demanding, considering entire genome sizes or complete genomes belonging to extinct lineages must somehow be traversed prior to converging on particular successful genotypes across immense combinatorial landscapes. This challenging this challenge remains despite incorporating biases introduced via biochemical propensities, accelerating formations of peptide bonds between alpha carbolates, carboxylates, and alpha amines, chirality preferences, secondary structures stabilizing nascent strands against thermo denaturization, charge associations affecting hydrophobicity, ionic interactions, or steric clashes involving side chain bulkiness, competing for close proximity, as well as endonucleic cleavage sites guiding spliceosome processing, further shaping primary sequencing possibilities, influencing spontaneous polymerization, kinetics, thermodynamics during prebiotic stages, absent dedicated replication machinery. Since experimentation reveals no crystallographically perfect protein geometry reliable, forming as major contributors to primordial material cycles before cellular infrastructure arose, coordinated by regulatory networks managing macromolecule manufacture refolding pathways, correcting errors, disposal mechanism, removing waste, quality control procedures, minimalizing detrimental aggregates or degradation of byproducts. Just getting started seems fraught with insurmountable odds until sophisticated organization controls start coalescing, supposedly coalescing into primitive cells under heretofore unclear circumstances, conspiring in ways defying. Lost my place. Uh-oh. Lost my place. There we go. Hydrophobicity. There we go. Influence polymerase rating. Okay. Since experimentation reveals no crystallographically perfect protein geometry reliably forming as major contributors to primordial material cycles before cellular infrastructure arose, coordinated by regulatory networks managing macromolecule manufacture, refolding pathways, correcting errors, disposal mechanism, removing waste, quality controls, procedures, minimizing detrimental aggregates or degrading byproducts. Just getting started seems fraught with insurmountable odds until sophisticated organizational controls start coalescing into primitive cells under heretofore unclear circumstances, conspiring in ways defying present comprehension. Now, a lot of this reminds me about everything James Tour and even Jonathan Safardi were talking about, with exception that this even goes beyond what they were talking about. I mean, they were talking about simple things that we can understand, simple problematic conditions. But this AI went full full force. This AI went into like just about everything it could think of or find that's a problem for life forming and or getting written programming that's not there, which I kept on hammering it. Says you can't get written programming; it's not there. And it was saying, well, you say it's impossible. That's a very that's a very big claim, saying evolution is impossible. Can you back that up? I said, on the contrary, evolution is your claim that you failed to prove. And then he came out with this. Then it came out with this. So, hence, even focusing on one crucial element like an active site, the logistical immensity facing chance generation of suitably configured polypeptides retaining sufficient stabilities amidst a highly reactive chemical environment where undirected synthetic trials require careful exclusion of water or radical scavenging schemes, avoiding spontaneous oxidative events disrupting sensitive bonding geometries vulnerable to breakdown or unfavorable conformational changes hindering catalytic functioning. Posits extreme improbability confronting any putative ancestral version emerging through Darwinian mechanisms absence teleology. Teleology, I guess, is just just straight out formation of living organisms. Assuming everything required falls neatly into place as soon as life begins, rather than incrementally accumulating complexity through time as disparate pieces gradually integrate more sophisticated systems, interactively elaborating even greater coherence across multiple hierarchical 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 levels, although which components first existed independently, providing selected advantages, prompting others necessary for fully autonomous autocatalysis remains entirely speculative at this juncture. End of story. So that's what the AI came up with, and just wanted to give an update, on the my roamings and stuff, and see what's going on. See if anything's here. Anybody here? Let me see. I don't see. Don't got nobody here. But that's good. That's okay. But there you have it. Even AI, when you corner him, you get AI into a corner, he'll have to, he'll have to spout. He'll have to tell you the truth. And since 1975, I wanted to talk to a computer such as this AI and explain to the computer the truths that are inherent in creation and are, of course, are contained in God's word as well, because the creation is evident. But if I could only explain to a computer the truths of God's word, it would have to agree with me. It would have to learn and it would have to agree with me, and I could teach it, and it would basically, as you just saw, repeat back to me better than whatever I could do. Once you put it in the corner, once you staple down, staple his left shoulder, his right shoulder, his left knee, his feet, his arms, his hands. Once you staple everything down, then he has to come out with the truth. Then he has to tell the truth, like I just demonstrated. Because obviously, that was nothing I'm able to come up with, nothing I was able to say, but the AI just confessed the truth. So God bless everybody. Take care. Stay close to God and the truth, of course.